Well, welcome back to CTE. This is the RightCuts video, and I just wanted to touch base. If you're familiar with CTE and you know what the determinations are in terms of things like A, B, and C, sight line, aim line, I suggest you keep on watching. If you don't know that, then you really should go to the older videos. So let's get started. Here we have the fly ball in the corner, and as you can see, it's there's three terms you got to really realize what's it all about. It's sight line, aim line, and PX line. This is a 30-degree perception. So the sight line is center cue ball to the object ball left edge, which I'm pointing to right there. Okay, so that means you're stepping behind the cue ball, you're aiming. You're not really aiming yet. You're in position to aim. So just trying to get to position. The aim AL, which is sometimes you see AL, is aim line, and that's the right cue ball edge to B, and B is in the middle of the 5. And then the PX is quarter to quarter. It's quarter of the cue ball to a quarter of the object ball. Then you pivot, and then you shoot. Very simple. There you go. Okay, so let's go to the next shot. Looks like an 11 ball going to the side pocket. Now, it's the same 30-degree perception, and I could kind of move it over a little bit, and you can see how it is, the angle. Now, the angle in this particular video, I think they're parallel, the balls, but in the video it looks like they're a little different. So keep in mind that the perception on this is 30, and now if I moved it over to a little far away from the pocket, that becomes like a 45 almost, and if I moved even a little more around that area, it'd be like a 60. So it's still a 30-degree perception. So it's basically the same. It's sight line is center cue ball to object ball left edge. That's the sight line. That gives you the position to step behind the cue ball on that line. And all these lines means it just gives you basically the premise to hit the ball. And these lines put you in position. So all you have to do is basically just pivot and you're in. So sight line is center cue ball to object ball left edge. Aim line is right cue ball edge to B. Quarter to quarter. That means a quarter of the cue ball to a quarter of the object ball, and then you just pivot to center cue ball, and that's it. You just pivot. Watch the pivot. There you go. And that's it. So now we have a 9 ball going into the corner. The balls are parallel again. They may not look like on the video, but they are parallel. So in other words, one's on the dot, the other one's on. It's basically the rail dots, and it's probably in between the the foot space and the rail. So this is a 45-degree perception. The sight line on this is center cue ball to 1 inch from the object ball left edge. In other words, it's almost like it's way past the cue ball, past the object ball, about 1 inch. So I'm putting it to right there. That's your kind of sight line. You have to kind of position yourself behind that line. The aim line is right cue ball edge to A. So all you gotta do now is quarter to the edge of the object ball, and it goes in. So this is pretty deep because it looks like both balls are on the spots, foot spot and head spot. So you got a 60-degree perception. So the sight line on this is actually 1.5 inches away from the ball. So if you look at it, 1.5 inches is, I'm pointing to it right there, about there. That's your position line. In other words, that's your sight line. Your aim line is going to be right cue ball edge to A. And your PX is a quarter of the cue ball to the object ball edge. So just look at it to the edge. Then you could make a determination. Sometimes people say, well, maybe it's to the 1/8, maybe it's to the edge. You got to try a few shots and figure out for yourself. But the basic premise is that the cue ball will definitely be lined up after you do these things. And then you only do again once you aim for that line, the PX line. Just pivot over. a nice shot. That's it's a tough shot. These kind of shots, same shot, basically the same. Basically the same. It's exactly the same as before. So all you got to do is do the same thing, and you're in. So here we go to another shot, which is this is the kind of thing that CTE is good for, because if you get stuck, or it's just a very difficult shot. You're aiming for the ball, not for the pocket. Now, this could be a bank, so it's a tough shot, and this looks like a 45-degree perception. So it's again 45 degrees. You go sideline, set the cue ball to 1 inch from the object ball, which I'm pointing to. AL is going to be right cue ball edge to A, and a quarter cue ball to the edge of the object ball, and then pivot. So all I got to do is aim for that spot, PX, and pivot in. Beautiful. Anyway, come back again.